So the second little part of term 4 is about classification. And classification is really just putting stuff into groups. You know, we do it all the time. People always have done it and always do it. And we do it in all sorts of ways, you know. Your friends versus your enemies, or your best friends versus your other friends versus people you don't really want to spend too much time with. Your favourite foods, you know, pizza and fish and chips versus Brussels sprouts. Although I must say, 1001 Nights in Mount Eliza do a really good Brussels sprout that's been char grilled in their halloumi tikka. But just the only time I can eat them, I think. And of course, you go walking in the supermarket and it's all organised for you, isn't it? Into like stuff. So we love classifying. What a wonderful sock drawer down there. Look at those socks all classified. And we do it in science too. And in biology, we take it to an art form. There's actually people called taxonomists who work out how related animals and plants are to each other, and you know where they sit in the evolutionary time frame. Love it, organising stuff. So it's just about organising stuff into categories, and we make up those categories in some way or other. So of course in biology, in this term, we're looking at life. And so we love to classify living things. And living things can be classified into two big groups, super kingdoms. They can be prokaryotes, and I'll talk about cells in the next video, or eukaryotes. And the eukaryotes, we've got eukaryotic cells, where we belong to the super kingdom Eukaryota. In that group, there are kingdoms, and we have a 5-kingdom system. Some people argue for a 6, 7, or even a 9-kingdom system. At the moment, we're still on 5. And that's the plants and the animals, the original 2 that, what's his name come up with? Oh, that's right, I can't think of his name. Linnaeus. And then there's the fungi, because he used to think they were plants, but they actually are different to plants. And the monera, which he wouldn't have been able to see because they were bacteria, you need a microscope for them. And we've got this sort of miscellaneous, everything else doesn't fit anywhere. They're called the protists. The sort of stuff isn't quite plant, isn't quite animal, isn't quite fungi. Don't know what to do with them. And so a bunch of our friends here, these are all eukaryotic animals and members of reptiles. There's some plants and things there. So, what about us? Well, humans are called Homo sapiens. We belong to the super kingdom of Eukarya. We have eukaryotic cells. We belong to the kingdom Animalia. We belong to the phylum Chordata because they have a backbone. Vertebrae up our back that are protecting our cord, our neural cord, the nerves. We belong to class Mammalia. We have mammary glands, hair on our heads, hair on our body, and mammals basically produce milk for the young, for live young, so give birth to live young. We belong to the subclass Theria, which are the placental mammals who have a placenta that connects to their young. So if you think about the monotremes, actually lay eggs, which is unusual for a mammal, and the echidna and platypus. And of course we have the marsupials who have a pouch, so they give birth to the embryos, which crawl into the, well, actually, fetus, which crawls into the pouch and finishes off the job in the pouch attached to a nipple. So we belong to the bigger group, the placentals. We belong to the order primate, so we're a member of the primate clan. The family Hominidae, which leaves us with the orangutans, gorillas, and chimpanzees. And then we're the genus Homo, the only species left, Homo sapiens. But there were many others. We won't go into them in just a moment, we haven't got time for them. And we use what's called a binomial system, or a two-name system, to name things. So science, well, I've got that bit. So we're Homo, our genus, with a capital H, and sapiens, our species. So our two-name in science is Homo sapien. We always use a capital for the Homo, for the genus, and then a lowercase for everything else. Usually, if you're typing it, you're going to type it in italics when you're doing the binomial name, or if you're writing it by hand, you probably underline it instead. So for an example, I love the big cats. I always love big cats, especially tigers. I don't know, since a small child I've always been fascinated by tigers. But we have these two related species here. They both belong to the group Panthera. so the panthers, if you like, and the tiger is Panthera tigris, and the lion is Panthera leo. So there's Leo the lion and our tiger, and they're very closely related, but separate species now. And those names tell us that. They tell us that they're quite closely related. And that's classification in a nutshell.